Hello and welcome to this video. This video ostensibly is going to be called 10 more artists that get on my nerves. Although that might not be the title. I did a video last Friday and the views were incredible. Did 20,000 views in the first few hours. And the reason why I did the views is because on the thumbnail, it had a picture of me and then in great big white letters it said, "They are all shite." And I know that brought them in. As I wrote it, I know that was going to bring them in. So I'm going to try and do that again. So I'm going to try and utilise the "they are all shite" method of drawing the audience in. You see, you've got to understand what YouTube audiences are like. And I do. After 1,300 videos, I think I've got I've got quite a nuanced understanding of what you like. And what you like is when I come out and go, "They are all shite." Right, that's what you like, is that. What you want is the anger, and you want me to get really steamed up for no reason whatsoever. You want to see the veins pumping on my head, and I'm here to deliver it. If that's what you want, that's what you're going to get, and that's what I'm going to get now. Now, what people say is they keep saying, he keeps going on about the same ones. He doesn't like Neil Young, he doesn't like Patti Smith, doesn't like the Ramones, doesn't like bloody Velvet Underground, doesn't like Van Morrison. Well, I actually quite like Van Morrison. I've gone round the circle of hate. If you keep pushing and pushing, you start to, first of all, you respect the thing, then the person, then you get an affection for the person, and then before you know it, you've got on, I have to listen to some Van Morrison, you almost for inspiration. I mean, some of the albums make me want to be sick. There's a video on here where I was listening to Van Morrison. I had to stop the video because I'd genuinely just been trapped having to listen to that music, and there was a part of me going, just switch it off, Andy, it's bloody horrible. And because I was trying to do the video, I kept going, and in the end, I think my body just said, look, we'll get out of this by making him vomit. So, because of the criticism I've had as well, that I never talk about new bands or well, not new bands, but artists, you know, what other artists do you hate? I've got 10 here that I'm pretty sure I haven't spoken about. Now, a lot of these are so bland, I can't actually remember much about them. So when I get to the bland ones, now this isn't ranked, it's just going to be 10, right? Because there's a certain arc to the story of these bands, and we're going to go from people that I know well and I don't like to these newish, they're not newish bands, but you'll see, just bands that are so bloody inconsequential. We wonder why they exist, right? And we get to that point. I don't know whether these bands are famous in America or not. If they are, then good. If they're not, you'll be good. I think they are. I think, well, two of them are. Anyway, don't preempt the video, Andy. That's bad YouTubing. But you're just teasing with them now just to get them a bit longer in, because the ones who go, come on, mate, get on with it. You know, they've probably forwarded along to the action. I want to know what they are. I don't want to know what he's going to say. Right? All right then. Okay. Right. Let's try this. Let's do something that you're not allowed to do on YouTube for those types. Those types who are just sat here going, when's he going to go through the list? I want to know, go through the list. When's he going to go through? I'm going to spoil it now. These are the artists I'm going to be discussing today for you fair weather viewers. I'm getting annoyed with you now. I should have put you on the list. 10 more artists that get on my nerves, and bloody audiences. 10 more audiences that get on my nerves. They only have one. There'd be loads of reasons why I hate the audience. You should never tell the audience that you hate them, but I do. There's people here I bloody hate, and they get on my nerves as much as these bands do. And one of them is the ones that are just one, and they're just nosy. What artist did he say he doesn't like? I want to know what the 10 artists are. And here I am playing with them, and they're getting more and more wound up, and I'm winding them up, but I'm going to break the law of this video by telling you up front, and then you can bugger off. So at number one, the first artist I'm going to talk about is Barry White. Then I'm going to talk about Kiss. Then I'm going to talk about Roxy Music. Then I'm going to talk about The Cure. Then I'm going to talk about REM. Then I'm going to talk about New Order. Then I'm going to talk about Keane. Then I'm going to talk about Snow Patrol. What the hell's that? Then I'm going to talk about Kings of Leon. And then I'm going to finish up with The Killers. Are you happy now? Now, come on. Now I've told you the list. This might work, and it might be a new thing where I tell you the list and go, oh, this is going to be brilliant. He hasn't talked about any of these now. Come on, Andy, get on. Now, the ones who are with me, they go, oh, come on, Andy, I've got to hear what you've got to say about Barry White. So shall I just really have a go at these now? They've come up. I think Roxy Music, I mentioned Brian Ferry on People Who Can't Sing. I must have touched on Kiss. Let's just kick off, shall we? So, number one, Barry White. I love soul. I love funk. I love American back popular music. I love all that type of stuff. You know me, I love it, right? I love it, all of it. Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, James Brown, Aretha Franklin, Diana Ross, Michael Jackson. I love all these people. I could listen. Earth, Wind and Fire is one of my favourite bands of all time. I love it all. But one band or person that I hate is Barry White. Okay? Now, Barry White was this big fat bloke who was around in the 1970s, and he made these albums that are just horrible albums. Where do we start with Barry White? This is why I haven't done these new ones. They're bloody hard. I do hate Barry White. You know, I'm not making this up. I really do hate Barry White. There's one. There's one good track, and it goes like this. This is the best thing ever, isn't it? This is like amazing. And then you go, oh, this is an amazing track. Can't remember what it's called. And then Barry White comes on and does what you expect Barry White to do, which is be a big fat bloke, right? He's like a black Demis Roussos in a way. You know what I'm saying? The ladies love him, but he's stocky. But it's because his stockiness on record comes across as a deep voice. And he comes in, he does what Barry White should do here. And she goes, just talks, don't know what he says. I really love you, baby. I'm a big fat man. And I got a lot of love for you because I'm a big fat man. He does all this stuff. And it's really, really good. And then the song kicks in. And then you get this bloody awful, like it sounds like something of a 1970s Eurovision Song Contest entry, right? Combined with this big, deep voice where you feel like he can't quite get his breath. And I hate the sound of it. I got nothing against Barry White as a person, right? I'm sure. But it's just, and he goes on like this. And it's like that drum beat that was amazing. That's been lost in the horrible production. Harold, is it Harold or Howard Melvin in the Blue Notes with Teddy Prendergrass? They're the same. It's all that gamble and huff. It's just all rubbish. Right, and it's spoilt music, spoilt black American popular music in the 1970s. They ruined it. They ruined it by turning it into some commercial, horrible, slapping pap, you know. And Barry White is the worst of it, you know. And the thing is, it's because he had to carry on in this vein, right? His raison d'etre was to be big and fat and somehow sing about his way with the ladies. And I don't think it was true. Right? I don't think it was true. They called him the walrus of love. If there's one animal that you don't associate with love, it's a walrus. You know, really. The walrus of love. Think about it. This is why God must exist. Because the universe cannot produce an artist that sells millions and millions of records who's a big fat bloke that the way they sell it to the ladies is by going, listen to this bloke because he's the walrus of love. I mean, how many women go, ooh, the walrus of love. I do like love being a lady, you know. I'm a lady, so I love love. And I love songs about love, especially when they get fruity. When the men get fruity and they sort of whisper in your ear love stuff. And if there was an animal, if you were to embody that into an animal, what would it be? A stallion, perhaps, or a lion? No, I tell you what I would really prefer. If it was a walrus. Yes, a walrus, a big fat blubbery thing sat on an icy shelf up in the Arctic Circle. Oh, you pulled that one back. When I started with the Barry White one, I thought I got no comedy here. But, you know, I'm making this up on the spot, you know, and that worked quite well, I thought. Shall we move on to number 2, which is, of course, Kiss. Now, I was entertained for about half a second this morning when I looked at Facebook and I went past all the stuff that got nothing to do with me, all the adverts and all the ads. And then somebody who I don't know, but is a Facebook friend, had said, ruin a band by changing one letter in the name. I thought, well, I'm going to have a go at that. So I sat there for, and I came up with rash. Not rush, change the U to an A, you get rash. Rash. That was my contribution to that conversation. And I looked down, there was some very funny ones, and I thought these are better than mine. Everyone's got the good ones already, and I was racking my brain, and I thought rash isn't that good, but I've tried my best. Then someone had just written piss. And it did make me laugh. I am sorry for swearing. I'm not going to tick the box on this that says that there's swearing in this. Not for the P word, right? And by the P word, I mean piss. Oh, you said it again, Andy. The other P word is the P word. The P word, I'm not going to say what it is. Basically, it's a short name for a country which describes a person that I am actually descended from. My granddad was a P word. Can I use that then? I don't want to use it. Why are you trying to get your video bloody in trouble just by going to it? Because I'm telling me, it's my brain. It's it works on a certain line, you see. And I know that when you're doing one of these, the critics are going to criticise you. And if I say the P word for piss, that's the third time I've had to say it because of you lot. You're complaining about it, but you're making me say it over and over again. Now, if I was French, I could say it to school children could they can say piss as much as they like. The school children can in France. They can drink wine as well. They can drink wine and then go for a piss, and they go, "Maman, j'ai un piss," and and that what they go, "Ah, yeah, Pierre, au revoir." They'd be like that, wouldn't they? Avez-vous un grand piss? I can't speak French. Right? And I'm worried about, in an anal retentive way, that people might say, when I say the P word, they mean another P word, and then they'll say that to me and I'll get in trouble. I don't want to get in trouble with people. Not on a simple video like this. There should be no trouble here at all, really. But what I'm not doing is talking about Kiss. Kiss are a rock band. They're an American rock band. Rock music was invented by the British, okay? The reason is because we got middle-class boys and we got the Marshall amp that could distort. You put those two things together and it's like, "Oh, Mummy, can I have a Fender Stratocaster and a Marshall amp?" "Oh, of course you can." "Oh, yes. Oh, my God, it distorts. So I'm going to play some blues and pretend I'm a black man that plays the blues." And that's basically the conceit on which rock music was made. But it seemed to work. They all did it in the 1960s, and all the best rock bands are bloody British, aren't they? And the Americans, they're doing things like the Doors. They think that like bossa nova beats is rock music. Love, they haven't got a clue really what rock music is. So they're doing their thing, okay? They're going about MC5. Bum to that. MC5 that's like bloody. We'd invented rock music a couple of years before then. What about Jimi Hendrix? They went, Jimmy, but he had to come to the UK to do it. Jimmy understood he had to come to the UK, right? The British, we invented rock music, right? We invented rock music. The British did. British people invented, amongst all the other things we invented, like bloody cars and the telephone and the internet and bloody liberal democracy and all these things and America, all these things that we invented. We also invented rock music, us British. So the Americans start to have a go at it, don't they? In the early 70s. What's that band that did American Woman? What band's that? American Woman. I mean, they go, that's the Americans ripping off Led Zeppelin terribly, right? And they start to get Aerosmith, ZZ Top, and then by way after the event, about 72, Lynyrd Skynyrd, they start to get some decent rock bands. And then Kiss come out and they go, well, this legacy from Britain of rock music, why don't we take that and turn it into something which is like comic book clown stuff for 4-year-olds? How about we do that to the music? Yeah, but we could do it by writing a whole bunch of tunes with really lame riffs. Yeah, lame riffs, make-up, comic book nonsense, right? And they come out with this, and it's just rubbish, and they delight in it being rubbish. And then Gene Simmons, you have to respect him, because he comes out and he goes, "Yeah, we're just making money," and he can't play the bloody bass. Peter Criss is a good drummer. Ace Frehley, I mean, he died recently, so rest in peace, Ace. I saw Kiss live twice, I believe. Did they play the Monsters of Rock in 1988? Because I was there for that. And I have a vague memory of seeing Kiss there without makeup. But that's what I'm saying. Without makeup, I can't remember them. I saw them and I can't remember them. And then someone bought me tickets to go and see the Alive tour when they redid it in the 1980s. And I can remember my mate got down front, nearly passed out because of the amount of fire that was eating the oxygen in the room. And Ace Frehley came out and did a guitar solo, and his guitar flew off and it went above the audience and exploded. All that stuff was great. But whilst this was going on, I was having to put up with some band in the background trying to pass. I wanna rock all night, a party every day. I wanna rock it all night. And they kind of passed that as being rock music. I'd listen to bloody Motorhead. I'd been grown up on Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin. You know, I'd listen to that. I listened to all that, and then we go, wanna rock all night, right? And then they went disco, didn't they? They went disco. Then they did The Elder, which is actually quite good because they tried to go all proggy, and that was them really doing it. But the thing is, they didn't really do it because they don't play on the albums. They got a whole bunch of other people playing on it. Right, then bizarrely they bring out a single which is called I Love Rock and Roll, which is unbelievably good. I'll tell you why it's good. It's because Paul Stanley doesn't sing it. Paul Stanley, he's just awful. He's a crooner. He's an effeminate crooner, all pouncing around with his big chest. Right, I hate Kiss, right? Then they take their makeup off. And I can remember watching MTV around about 1983, and there was all Kiss to take their makeup off, and then this video comes on, and there's loads of women lying around all over the bloody place, and they come walking down the road in some sort of, you know, dystopian landscape, and there they are strutting down the road, all brown, with their hair all poofed up, and then no makeup on, and it's just awful. What was the track? Lick It Up, lick it up, lick it up, you know. And when they came in that, all our good bands that we had, like Saxon and Def Leppard, what did they do? Oh, we'll have to sound like that now. They ruined everything for everybody, and they just kept going. And they kept going down. Now what are we left with? Gene Simmons, who I like, he's a funny bloke, but there he is, making his money by selling Kiss condoms and Kiss coffins. You know, the birth and death personified in Kiss form. That's them done. So let's move on. That's done. I know when I get to these, there's a natural rhythm to these, you see. And you know when you've got there. Roxy music. Right, I tell you why I hate Roxy music. Roxy music, for me, at the beginning of this, I'm cool, and I know I like cool stuff, and Roxy music are cool. They're like a cool band, right? They're a cool band. Now, at the moment, an artist who I've never really delved deep into is David Bowie, so I'm going through album by album. I don't know whether I'm going to do a deep dive into David Bowie, but I think I might. I'm etching out certain things with David Bowie that are interesting. When you listen to the albums in a row, there's some really interesting. So the bloke's a genius. He's a genius because he's a brilliant songwriter. But it takes a while for him to develop this strange songwriting method that he's got. But what David Bowie's really doing, he's invented art rock, and we could say glam rock because they hold hands. And art rock and glam rock isn't quite progressive rock. And into that space come Roxy music. Now, Roxy Music is a band formed by artsy fartsy types who cannot play like Yes, but are into Andy Warhol and experimental stuff. They got Brian Ferry, who is basically an incompetent crooner up front, and his eyes are too close together, but he's going to try and pass himself off as some sort of heartthrob. You've got some horrible saxophone player that's going to honk away. Right, the saxophone and rock music never works at the best of times. Right, the drummer's quite good. Their band's all right. Then you got Brian in there, who can't play keyboards, but he's going to fool you all by doing lots of blippy sounds over very basic songwriting, whilst, you know, albeit he's a bald man, he's going to grow his hair long and dress up in a way that's going to basically influence the look of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, that type of thing. And the critics are going to turn around, and when they see these sorts of artsy-fartsy types doing stuff like this that doesn't require much technical ability or you know... Now, Manzanera, the guitarist, he's good. He had a band called, was it 808 like, or 801 Live? I had that album. I've lost it. It's another one of my albums. I think I might have sold it. It's got a very young Simon Phillips on. He's a good guitarist, isn't he? I mean, he's not bloody Alan Holdsworth, but he's all right. I think he makes the band early on, Manzanera. He does. He's good. So it's not all bad. It's not all bad. But the point is those first albums. Now the thing is, what's the one that goes, Virginia played. You know that one. And you got that going on. You're right. I love that. I don't know why that's so good. It's good. That's off the first album, isn't it? See, I don't know much. There's a trouble about criticising bands. I don't know that much about it, and I can't be asked doing the research to make it sound like I do. I've heard Roxy music all my life, but that's all right, that is. But then, very quickly, right, they just turn into, it's like, before you know it, it's love is the drug. And I hate it. I think Eno pepped it up a little bit, made it a little bit, then once he's gone, it's just, can't anyone see through it? It's like the Emperor's Clothes, right? It's a pop song. It's all right. It's a bit disco-y. Brian Ferry, he comes out with he's got his white, jacket on and his tie, hair slicked back, Love is the drug that I'm thinking of. Can't you see? Love is the drug for me. I've been in bands all my life, right? If someone said, Andy, can you sing? I don't know, really. I think I can sing, yeah. What, can you sing like Ronnie James Dio? Oh, I couldn't sing like that, no. Or about Otis Redding? No, I can't sing like that. Well, what did you say? Like David Coverdale? No, I'm not like that. Well, who are you like, Who are you like then of the male singers that we love, Can you sing like Robert Plant? No, I can't sing like Robert Plant, no. Well, who would you say you're closest to? Well, I can sing like Brian Ferry. Really? Yeah, I could do a Brian Ferry. Very good. Sing like Brian Ferry. Okay, here we go. Can't you see? Love is the drug for me. What do you think? I don't know whether we could have that front in the band. You don't think so? What's wrong with that? I could come out and go, can't you see? Love is the drug for me. I could do it's deep. It got deeper, and then just stutter it a little bit. Any song could be sung like that. Brian Ferry could sing any song and make it his own, but so could I. That's the point. Any song you like. My old man's a dustman. My old man's a dustman. He wears a dustman's hat. He wears gold blimey trousers, and he lives in the council flat. Oh, you see? Oh, it's Brian Ferry. Are they destroyed now? Alone. I've hurt my chest here. I've got a bit of a weakness from when I had the COVID over on the right-hand side, and I don't get it very much, except if I'm stressed out, or I found out if I do a Brian Ferry impersonation for too long. So shall we carry on? I don't want to injure myself. Right, so number 4, we have The Cure. Now, this is people who get on my nerves, bands that get on my nerves, right? Now, The Cure, they are a good band. It's not my thing. I like prog and jazz rock fusion. I like proper rock music with tight trousers and screaming. All the stuff the critics don't like. I like stuff that's musically good. Now, The Cure are a great band, and I do like them. They've done lots of good songs, right? But when it comes to getting on my nerves, they really get on my nerves. And I've got to really try and personify and get to why they get on my nerves. For me, there is a thing in music that I absolutely bloody hate, right? And it's like, this is the raison d'etre for this channel, is to challenge the establishment idea of what good is, right? Now, if you wanted to make a band that the establishment is going to say it's good, it will be The Cure. And you will never find any criticism of The Cure off anybody ever, right? It's like almost like a badge of honor to say you like The Cure. And in saying you like The Cure, it proves that you're one of those touchy-feely types. You know the types that I mean? I don't want to use a certain word here, but the types who, they would never be racist or sexist, and they would always be kind, and they would always, support those less fortunate than themselves, and they would champion their causes. You know, those types of people? Those people like The Cure. That's what I've noticed. I think they like The Cure because Robert Smith for them personifies everything that they would want to be. All right? So Robert Smith fundamentally is an English gentleman. I know that. But he hides behind he's got this, like Robert Smith, people will go, oh, listen to how cool Robert Smith is here when he answers this woman. And then he comes on and he's rude to her. Because he's Robert Smith. So, are you having a good time here? Well, doesn't seem as much as you are, And you feel like, why are you talking to her like that, Robert? Look at the state of you. Look at she's talking to you. Nice, attractive girl like that. Well, she wouldn't go up to someone looks like that. You look awful. You look like a zombie granny. Come out of the grave to kill everybody. Kill everybody with sarcasm. Sarcasm and pretend introvertedness. We're getting there now. See how I open it up? I have to open up the line of hate. And it's bloody Robert Smith. The rest of them, who are they? I don't know who they are. They're probably all fey and floppy, aren't they? It's probably they got someone on guitar that's supposed to be really bloody good on guitar. And I feel like, all right, mate, play an Yngwie Malmsteen track or do some Aldi Meola. I was in a band, I played with I didn't play with them, but I played with a band that had a lot of the guys from Pendragon. They're a progressive rock band. And they've got a guitarist called Nick Barrett. And Nick Barrett plays these sort of Andy Latimer-esque guitar solos, and he sings, a great prog band. And I did a couple of dates, and I was out in the States, and I said facetiously to Nick, I said, play us an Aldo Meola track. And Nick, being a really good guitarist, then whips out Race with the Devil on a Spanish Highway. I expect that from my guitarists. That's what I expect. If they can do that, then they can do whatever they want and play all their fey bloody limp-wristed guitar playing that's got no decent bits in, just long, emotionless notes that just fit into the feyness, behind Robert Smith. I mean, Robert Smith plays the guitar. He was a guitarist because he was in Susie the Banshees, wasn't he? So they're all fey, They've written some good songs. I mean, it's like pretty close to you as a masterpiece. I'm not criticising the music. Understand me, Cure fans. I know they're good. They're good. They are good. But they get on my nerves. It's Robert Smith. Okay? He personifies that sort of British, that British lefty. I don't know whether he's left-wing or not. He might, because Morrissey isn't. I thought he would be like that. I thought he'd be one of those types, but he turned out he was far-right talking points type, wasn't he? Doesn't like the foreigners, does he, old Morrissey? And the thing is the Smith fans, they can't take it. Because people like the Smiths and it's these old blokes, they're all walking around and they're on Facebook and they're all like virtue signalling and they all love Robert Smith. And so what's happened is Robert Smith, who is like about 70, right? That look, the Edward Scissorhands, I'm like Edward Scissorhands, I've got scissors for hands, I'm handicapped by me talents, all that bit. Robert Smith is that, isn't it? I'm all floppy and fey. Fey, F-Y-E. Fey, I'm so fey, and I'm going to sing a song. It's like he's crying. It sounds like he's crying. Sounds like that bloke off Police Academy that's taking too many drugs, hasn't he? The one. I felt so old. I felt like I could die. You are old and you could die, mate. I felt so old. I really wanted to have a cry. Come on, come on, come on away. Come on and run and walk away. Come on and run and dance and run and then baby, say to you that you wouldn't be me and involved with me without you. Oh, I can't live without you. I'm gonna be crying. I'm gonna probably die. You are probably gonna die, mate. You are probably going to die. You look like you're going to die. You're white. You've got the horrible rat's nest hairstyle and you've got all that lipstick on, right? It looks like someone's taken his Eddie Izzard, buried him in the ground for a century and then said an incantation above the grave and then raised him up to come out and kill us all with bloody sophomoric bloody drivel, and and then no one's allowed to say anything about it. Don't pick on The Cure. They're one of the greatest British bands. Robert Smith is a treasure. He's an absolute treasure. He's not a treasure. If that's the treasure you've got in your booty, I don't want to see the other bits you've got. What else have you got in there? An old dead mummified cat? What else have you got in your treasure trove if Robert Smith's in there? Bloody hell, God, and it's like no one's allowed to say it about him. God, he should stop. I mean, he was all right when he was young doing all that. It was all that. You can do all that when you're young, but you get to a certain age, you have to stop. You have to stop. You can't carry on anymore. You can't look like that anymore, right? He's like the goth version of Gene Simmons. Gene Simmons' hair that hair that Gene Simmons has got is probably... It's probably come from the same place as Robert Smith's hair, i.e. the early 1980s. I'm not going. There's too much here with the. I'm going to come back to The Cure. I might have to do a whole video on The Cure because I like them musically, right? But even with that, they get on my nerves. The thing that won me over with The Cure when I was a youngster was I got Head on the Door, that album, with In Between Days on, and there was a track called Screw, and it was cool. Screw up your eyes, or whatever he was doing, that sort of police guy. Anyway, so they're an enigma to me. They're an enigma. I do like them. I really like them. I do like them, but they get on my nerves. That is why they're in the middle on this, although it's not ranked, is it? Right, number 5, I have got REM. Okay, now imagine an American version of The Cure, but I hate them. Okay, that is what REM are. Okay, the first time I heard about REM is my mate, Matt, who is now a brilliant painter, very artistic man. But when I was at art college with him, we both loved the rock. We were big rock fans. We loved the rock together. We were fans of the rock. I can remember we went to see Dave Lee Roth, and as we walked out, we said to each other, wow, that's way better than fine art, because we wanted to be painters, And it is, Dave Lee Roth is better than fine art, which is why I went down the rock and roll route. Matt didn't. He stuck with it, and he's done all right. But I'm sure he agree, though. Dave Lee Roth is still better than modern art, right? That's the bottom line, okay? Now, we was talking about REM. He went to America on some sort of student exchange thing, and he came back and he said, this is like in the late 80s, he went, Andy, there's a band out there, they're so bad, when everybody loves them, all the students like them. We've got the Smiths and The Cure here, but they've got this band called REM. I was thinking, what they sound like? Oh, they're bloody awful. And I went and checked them out, and they were awful. And it was, there's student rock in the UK. At least we have an English frivolity, which you can hear with the Smiths. The Americans, it's just jangly nonsense. All these bands like the Pixies and Pavement and Dinosaur Jr. We're all supposed to like this. What I hate is that like them, right? But don't think they're anything better than what I like. But people do. They somehow you get brownie points just by saying you like these bands, right? You have to pretend you like them, And I used to pretend I like them, and I think that's what it is. REM then in the 90s suddenly become the biggest band in the world, right? And what we have here is everything I hate. Jangly guitars, whiny voices, Americana. There's an Americana thing with REM. They never go anywhere interested. If you believe, you put the man on the moon. Right, so I love that. I loved Andy Kaufman, but Andy Kaufman was a huge influence on me in terms of my YouTubing. What was I going to say? Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. There we go. That was an example of it. See, I am brave enough to do something like that halfway through the video because of Andy Kaufman. And I love the film with Jim Carrey, Man in the Moon, right? And in there is REM's best song. And the reason why it's their best song is because it's about Andy Kaufman, right? And there's bits I like about that song, but listen to it. If you believe they put a man on the moon, a man on the moon. If you believe there's something up their sleeve, or nothing at all. I mean, it's so dreary. I mean, you might like it, you might want to sing along with it, but I like music that's got some juice. So it's got some riffs, it's got a beat, it's got some melody. You know, is that the melody? If you believe, you know, that's rubbish. That is not a cool melody, right? You think about it, it's not like money, 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 in a rich man's world. And I don't even like ABBA, but they've got brilliant songs, they've got brilliant choruses. All the things I could do if I had a chromatic rundown, absolutely. And then we got REM, you know. You just know that they've got 5 chords, open chords on guitar, and they just strum away, you know, and he gets his pencil out, and his idea of songwriting is just write some of the lyrics there. If you believe they put a man on the moon, and then they'll say that, a man on the moon. If you believe there's something, yeah, this is all cool. It's like, you know. And the thing is, what he's thinking about is conspiracy theories, because back then, the people who were over on the left, all the sort of student-y types, they thought there were conspiracy theories. They thought the world was, you can't trust what's going on. Now they're not even like that, and they're all still REM fans. I can't get much more out there because this is getting dull now. This is the point. This is now getting dull. Michael Stipe, you know, I got nothing against the man. It's just dull. REM are dull. How do you explain it? At least when I'm doing the Smiths, The Cure, at least just by singing like Robert Smith, you go, yeah, I know it's bloody awful, but at least there's some character there that you could, I mean, I can't, it's just nasal nonsense. Nasally nonsense. You know, bit of mandolin. The mandolin's an awful bloody instrument anyway. The best of the time. It's too small. You know, it's too small. And you look like an idiot when you play the mandolin. Okay? I mean, George Formby looks like an idiot playing the ukulele banjo, but he's supposed to look like an idiot. I mean, why would you want a mandolin? You know, bloody John Paul Jones with his bloody Battle of Evermore. You know, I hate mandolins. What song's that they got the mandolin on? You're not going to be able to remember it. When I get to these last bands, I'm going to have to record to some sort of a reminding who the hell they are. Right, so what are we on to next? So at number 6, I've got New Order. Right, so in the late 70s, we had punk. And out of punk, you had a load of people forming bands, and it was good because they didn't have to be able to play or anything or have any songs or any goodness about them. As long as they were cool, they could form a band. And as punk settled down, you had a whole bunch of these bands. The Cure came out of that. Smiths came out. There's a whole bunch of these bands, guitar-based bands, right? Now, at the mountain peak of that critically is Joy Division. Joy Division were around for a couple of years. They got a depressive lead singer that hung himself. And that was put the icing on the cake as some of the critics are concerned. And they did some songs like Love Will Tear Us Apart. Love will tear us apart. Oh, hang on. The phone just went then. I saw the phone ring then. Did you hear it? I was in mid Ian Curtis impersonation. Should I go back to the Ian Curtis? So Ian Curtis is basically, the critics love him for this. Love will tear us apart again. Right now, then he dies, and then you're left with all the other members, and they got no personality. And then you got Bernard Sumner. Oh, hang on, you wait there. Hello. I'm all right, thank you. You're going to call me back? Okay, thank you. That was the BBC. When the BBC called me up, look, BBC. Hello? You have to pull a wire out to get FaceTime to work at the BBC. You do know this is going to be on my YouTube channel. The BBC. They haven't done it. He's just having a joke with me, everybody. Okay, lovely. I'm going to be on the BBC in a minute.
About Bowie, it was as I got older, instead of liking newer stuff, I went older. So because especially the sort of 70s era Bowie was way before, well, not way before my time, but I was only a little kid when all that was doing the rounds. So I kind of went the other way. I got older, not younger. But according to a new study, our music taste doesn't really change as you get older. You sort of hit your mid to late teens, get into all the stuff you get into, and then it doesn't really change much from there. Researchers at a university in Finland asked nearly 2,000 people across 84 countries, so it's not, this is a pretty global thing, to choose a song that really meant something to them. And it claims that from their research, men form their strongest musical memories when they're about 16, and they just get stuck there and don't really move on, which probably explains why I like New Order, Depeche Mode and the Smiths a lot. Anyway, women's taste, according to the study, continues to develop as they age. So is this you? 0800 121 8181. Before we get on to this properly, let's get some thoughts from the music critics John Earls and Sophie Williams.
But I think it is the case that certainly for men, that the taste we have when you start getting into music, maybe even as young as 8, 9, 10, are the things you still have a massive fondness for as an adult. I mean, I'm 53 and I still love Adamant and Duran Duran. So, I seem to be typical of the breed, it's fair to say.
I think it's about recalling those memories when you heard this music for the first time, right? When you're a teenager, I guess a lot of the music that you're listening to is probably related to wanting to assert your own independence, defining your identity, the types of scenes that you want to be hanging out with. So when it comes to tough times, particularly in a fractured climate that we're living in at the moment, you may want to just go back to comfort and that music that you first fell in love with when you were younger. There's some brilliant books and studies out there about how women go through a similar thing. Lavinia Greenwood, for example, wrote a book called The Importance of Music to Girls, and sort of those formative experiences and how they shape our music taste for life. It just scientifically as well, it comes down to the fact that when you're a teenager, you have more dopamine, you're more engaged with music. I mean, you look at Glastonbury last year, the biggest acts we saw that weekend were nostalgia acts. Avril Lavigne and Two Door Cinema Club, when they played the other stage, it was completely packed out. There was millennials sort of wanting to relive their teenage experiences, and that was a totally mixed crowd.
There tends to be a generation of music fans who'll just say, the best music was what I grew up with, 80s music is the best music, 90s music is the best music. And I just don't think that's the case. I think there is always new and exciting music coming out. And I think, as much as people might have other priorities in their life, music becomes less important to them when they get older, and that's when it becomes easier to kind of go back to the music you fell in love with.
He's nailed it there, hasn't he, John Earls and Sophie Williams also there. But John, that's key. As you get older, you get lots of other things you have to do, so you don't really have so much time to think about music. But I remember when I was a kid, that was the most important thing in the world, pop music. Couldn't believe that anyone wouldn't be as obsessed about it as me. Let's speak to someone who knows a thing or two about music, about all sorts of music. But Andy Edwards is a musician and a YouTuber from Kidderminster, and played with the legend Robert Plant for a couple of years as well. Hi, Andy.
Hello there, you okay?
Yeah, very well, thank you very much. Music obviously still important to you because you do it for a living. So, I mean, as you do it for a living, does that mean that it just becomes a bit of a busman's holiday listening to music?
It does, but the thing is, he's completely right. I still go back to all the stuff I liked when I was 14 years old. In the end, that never goes away. And over my career in listening to all sorts of different music, certain bands have come and go, and there'll be times where I re-listen to a certain band at a certain time. But then you sort of grow out of that band. But the bands I came to love at, say, 13, 14, 15 years old, I still go back to those bands, and I absolutely love them. And it's hard to tell whether I love them because they're amazing or because I heard them at that age. And it's probably both of those things at the same time.
Well, but that's it, isn't it? Because music is so subjective. You think they're amazing because you loved them so much when you were young. I mean, it's like, yeah. I mean, I hear what you say. I mean, I go back and listen to some. I did it yesterday, actually. Weirdly, in the car, I listened to this album that I've not heard for years. I mean, since I was about in my mid-20s, and the nostalgia bit of me went, "Oh God, I've known this for ages. It's great." But then I thought, it's all right. It's not it just sounded a bit. You hadn't dated very well.
Well, who was it?
Front 242. I was listening to a Belgium techno album. It was a bit industrial.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, bit
Belgian
of industrial
techno.
Well, sort of Belgian industrial techno from about 80. We're having a conversation on BBC Local Radio about Front 242. That's quite niche. That really. I wasn't going to say who it was, Andy.
This is what I've exposed here, listeners.
Yeah.
Is your DJs know what they're talking about, right? They actually know their music. This is incredible. But
and I had a bit of Cabaret Voltaire before that as well. If you really want to go deep.
I like Cabaret Voltaire. I mean, you did mention New Order, though. I'm not so keen on them.
What? We can't be friends. Come on, we can't be friends.
We can't. Because I was a new wave of British heavy metal kid, so I like, the Scorpions, AC/DC, Iron Maiden. I ended up playing jazz and prog and all sorts of weird stuff. But in the end, I could still go back to Highway to Hell, and it's not just because it's subjective. It is incredible music. It's like everybody has because your mind's open when you're a kid. You're exploring what's around you, and you take a band that you love at that time, and it chimes with you because it's not like I've just been chatting about Joy Division, who I'm sure you like.
I love Joy Division, of course.
Right. Well, Joy Division came out when I was like 12, 13, and I didn't like them. It didn't chime with me. What chimed with me was White Snake.
Do you know what though, Andy? Do you know how you say you saying that though? Do you know what? It's really interesting you say that. My mate gave me a cassette of Unknown Pleasures, which is the first Joy Division album, right?
Yeah.
And I must admit, I really wanted to absolutely love it, and I pretended because it was cool that I loved it. But it took me. I had to listen to it a lot. It's a very hard album that is to get into. Yeah, but weirdly, I sometimes find if you actually have to work at something, and I've done it. Oh yeah, all through my life, I've heard an album and I thought, yeah, I quite like that, but weirdly, the stuff you have to work at, you kind of end up liking. I mean, I love Unknown Pleasures now. I think it's a brilliant album. But the stuff that you get instantly, often you go off. Do you know what? It's a bit like sort of training your taste, really, in food and stuff. It gets more complex.
Yeah, and I think that's very interesting because I was like that with jazz. I knew jazz was good, and I had to listen. And not the easy listening jazz. I'm on about like Coltrane and all that stuff. Yeah. We're having a proper conversation here. This is amazing about proper bands. And the thing is what the listeners don't realise is I am in the middle of a YouTube video now, and I've kept the camera running. And I was just talking about this very thing about how there's certain bands that you feel you should like. And sometimes if you put the work in, you can end up liking them. And there's other bands you instantly like. So what did you love? Like what was the first record you ever bought? Because this is a really interesting thought experiment here.
The first, I'm trying to think I think the first proper record I bought, I mean, because obviously there's the Wombles and things like that when you're a kid.
Yeah.
But I think the first sort of proper record that I can remember getting anyway, I went to buy Cars by Gary Newman, and it was about 75p in W.H. Smith, and I would have been about 6 or 7 at the time, and I remember going with my mum or someone with my pocket money and buying that 7-inch and playing it to death and thinking it was amazing.
Well, we're the same age. I had exactly the same thing, and if you put that on now, would you still love it?
But again, see, for doing this for a living, all music is a bit. I've overplayed it. You know, I worked in commercial radio for 30 years, and you play the same 3 songs every 20 minutes. So, you know, music for me is a funny old thing now. It's like, you know, when I listen to music for pleasure for me, it'll be something completely obscure, probably, like I was saying earlier on, because pop music and chart music, I've sort of done it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you went to listen to your Belgian tech. This is like a counselling session for you.
It is.
You went
to
your
Thanks,
Belgian
Andy.
techno. You went to your Belgian techno and you wanted to like it. You liked it the old day, but you thought, now there's something missing. What would you go to now? What's the album you could go to that you just know you can put it on and you're going to love it?
Do you know, that's quite a good question. That I don't. I'd have to
you're too. This is the trouble with you, lot.
Jaded. Jaded.
I still
mate.
love it. And I could put like an Earth, Wind and Fire album on, and I would love it.
Do you know what? I would probably put on, and you're not going to like this, I'd probably play Low Life by New Order, which was peak, like before True Faith. That would probably be it for me. And that was I loved that album. I played the living daylights out of it when I was a kid, and I still like it. Will
you sit down and have a listen to it for me when you get home?
I will.
Yes, you go and do that, and then we because I think that's the whole point. Is that it's important that these things are there, and they are there. And like I said, it's not because you just happened to listen to it when you were a kid. It's because there's something brilliant about it, and you happen to listen to it. The two things hold hands with each other.
Yeah, no, that's very true.
These are very important.
Andy, send me the invoice for the counselling session. All right.
I will. It's going to be a lot.
Thanks, mate. Well, I don't know what you got out of that, but I got lots out of it. He's definitely sorted my musical palette out there. I think Andy Edwards doing it live on YouTube as well. Hello, YouTube.
So we're back on track. And the funny thing is, I feel we've done New Order now. Wasn't this? I tell you something. Isn't the world strange? Right? I did. The BBC said they would call me up. They didn't say when it would be. I didn't think it would be in a YouTube video. And I was just doing New Order. And in the end, we've just talked about New Order. Now, I feel that this video has reached a peak, right? And I don't really want to deal with the next bands, Keane, Snow Patrol, Kings of Leon, and Killers. So I'm going to leave that for another day, if I may be so bold, because I think the climax of the video was the BBC calling up and the conversation that happened there. And also, we've just had a conglomeration of mainstream media and new media like this, right? There's a lot of people heard that. Way more people would have heard that radio broadcast because they're driving around in their cars, and there's it's a local radio channel, you know, it's Radio Hereford and Worcester. You can go and check it out if you want. Don't know who the guy was I was talking to. It's not the normal person I have. But it's very strange, and then this has been a bit of a comedy video. And what happened then that I found interesting is now I'm in a serious mode, and that's why I can't do this, because I had to, in that time, rather than a video here where it's humorous and certain messages come out. New Order are great, and the reason why they're great is because that man who is so knowledgeable absolutely loves them. The guy that's worked in all this and has got so much knowledge and loves music. You know, I say, what's the one album that you want to go back? And he goes to New Order whilst I'm talking about them on this video. Now, those of you who watch my videos and go, does Andy plan these out or not? Well, how does he do this, right? Maybe it's a big elaborate setup. Maybe that's fake. Because sometimes also, this is a very powerful thing on my channel, this bit here. We've had the conglomeration of a whole bunch of things. Do I need to point it all out? Because I haven't got the rock and roll telephone, but I've had a conversation from the BBC talking about the band we were talking about, and it's finished the video off. So that was 6 more artists that get on my nerves, and then I'll have a big white lettering on the thumbnail. These are also shite. We'll go with something like that. Is that all right with you lot? Did you enjoy that? And I promise you, I will be back when I'm in more of a sort of I mean, too serious now. That's having to deliver that for the BBC, and because I know when. Anyway, I'm explaining what I'm trying to do here, and you don't need to. I'll be back. I will be back, as Arnold Schwarzenegger said, to deal with Keen, Snow Patrol, Kings of Leon, and the Killers. It will be a quartet of crapness. Thank you for watching. Bye bye, everybody. And the new thing is, I walk away now like that, so you see the empty chair. Well done, everyone. Well done, everybody.
Comfortable as you were. If words weren't making sense as slurs, then what you might have seen might be reality if your visions